My dad was called a coward in class. He died saving lives in Afghanistan 2 weeks earlier. Mr. Westbrook stood at the front of the classroom, pointing at a slide about modern warfare, his voice dripping with contempt. The problem with today's military is that most people join because they can't make it in the real world. They hide behind patriotism, when really they're just running from responsibility. My pen snapped in half under my grip, ink bleeding across my notebook. I'd been back at school for 3 days since the funeral, and every minute felt like walking through broken glass. The flag from my dad's casket was still folded in a triangle on our mantel, and this man was calling soldiers cowards. "That's not true," I said, my voice coming out rougher than I intended. The class went quiet. Mr. Westbrook turned toward me with raised eyebrows, clearly annoyed at being interrupted. "Excuse me, Nathan, you have something to contribute?" I tried to swallow the rage building in my throat. My dad was in the military. He wasn't running from anything. He saved people. Mr. Westbrook's expression shifted to something between pity and smugness. "I'm sure your father is a fine man, but let's be objective here. Military service is often a last resort for people without better options. That's just statistical fact." The girl next to me, Kira, put her hand on my arm like she was trying to stop me from responding, but I couldn't let it go. My dad had a degree in engineering. He could have worked anywhere. He chose to serve. Mr. Westbrook sighed like I was a child who didn't understand how the world worked. "Look, Nathan, I respect that you want to defend your father, but the reality is that many service members are fleeing failed careers or criminal backgrounds. The military accepts people who can't succeed in civilian life. It's not heroic. It's pragmatic." My hands started shaking so badly I had to press them flat against my desk. He didn't fail at anything. He was deployed 5 times. He was a combat medic. That's when Mr. Westbrook made his biggest mistake. He leaned against his desk, arms crossed, addressing the whole class now. Combat medics. Perfect example. People who couldn't become real doctors, so they settle for battlefield first aid. It's a noble narrative, but let's be honest. It's military propaganda designed to make us think war is somehow honorable. 3 students laughed. Someone in the back row whispered loud enough for me to hear, "Battlefield janitors." My vision tunneled, and I could feel my pulse hammering in my temples. I reached into my backpack slowly, pulling out the folder my mom had given me this morning, the one I'd brought to school because I couldn't bear to leave it at home yet. "My dad died 2 weeks ago," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The classroom went dead silent. Mr. Westbrook's smug expression faltered. His convoy hit an IED outside Kabul. He was thrown from the vehicle, broke 3 ribs and his collarbone, and he still pulled 4 soldiers out of the burning wreckage before it exploded. I opened the folder with trembling hands. Inside was the official death notification from the Department of Defense, my father's obituary, and the preliminary citation for the Silver Star he was being awarded posthumously. I stood up and walked to the front of the classroom, dropping the folder on Mr. Westbrook's desk hard enough that papers slid off onto the floor. "Staff Sergeant Michael Cross, killed in action October 8th. He saved 4 lives before he died. One of them was 19 years old, same age as your son." I'd seen Mr. Westbrook's son's graduation photo on his desk. His face went white. "Nathan, I had no idea." I cut him off, my voice getting louder. "You said military service was for people who couldn't make it in the real world. My dad had scholarship offers to 3 universities. He chose to serve. You said combat medics were failed doctors. My dad saved 38 lives over 5 deployments. That's 38 people who got to go home because he was there." Mr. Westbrook picked up the death notification with shaking hands, reading it while the class watched in horrified silence. Kira was crying quietly at her desk. The student who'd made the janitor comment stared at his shoes. Mr. Westbrook's hands trembled as he read the citation, describing how my dad had administered aid under fire, how he'd refused evacuation until every wounded soldier was stable, how he died from his injuries after ensuring everyone else survived. "I need to apologize," Mr. Westbrook started, but I wasn't done. "No, you need to think before you call people cowards when you don't know anything about their lives. You sit in this classroom teaching kids about sacrifice and courage, and you just called my dad a failure for having the actual courage to live those values." I grabbed the folder off his desk and walked toward the door. The principal was already standing in the hallway, having been called by another teacher who'd heard the commotion. She looked between me and Mr. Westbrook's pale face. "Nathan, come with me, please." In her office, I explained everything while she read the military documents. She called my mom, who confirmed the timeline and offered to send additional documentation about my dad's service record. The principal's expression hardened with each detail. 2 hours later, Mr. Westbrook was placed on administrative leave, and the school issued a formal apology to my family. Mr. Westbrook was quietly transferred to another district after the semester, and my dad's Silver Star ceremony included a tribute from the 4 soldiers he saved.